Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mauricio, you're up.
Thank you. Thank you very much to Laura for the presentation and to Runaway for inviting me again to talk about this topic that, as Laura well says, it's very important or it's in your interest once you own a property in Mexico to have a residency, either a temporary residency or a permanent residency that I will go to explain both, because also for the benefits that Laura already commented, having a residency card in Mexico will allow you to open bank accounts, owning a car or any kind of vehicle and register it under your name. That all these things that without a residency in Mexico, you will not be able to do. And also, it's important that if you plan to put your property into vacation rentals, it will be important for you to have the tax ID. And as Laura mentioned, the tax ID will be obtained after you become a resident. Usually, I think that most of you might already know a little bit about the Mexican immigration procedure. The procedure it's very straightforward. It has many options for you to apply. Usually, there are globally three or four instances where you can request residency in Mexico. One is because you have economic solvency from your country of origin, from savings, pension, or investments, or in case of temporary residency, also salary from your work that can be performed remotely. And you reach and prove to the Mexican authorities that you have the income or the monthly income or the balance to qualify for either temporary or permanent residence, then you can start your process at any Mexican consulate in the States or in Canada or in Europe or anywhere in the world that you are living and has a Mexican consulate. You can the process start with an appointment at the consulate, so you can provide all your financial information and get an approval for a temporary or a permanent residency visa. I will explain this in more detail in a bit. The other options for you to obtain residency other than with your financial information, it's either by a job offer if a Mexican company it's or a Mexican foreign company that operates here in Mexico offers you a job, then you can obtain residency through that way. Other is through family unity, which is also something that probably in the case of most of you could apply. And this year it becomes an option to save money because I will explain the reason why. But if you have someone, a family member, which could be a spouse or children that are already residents in the country or have obtained a visa, a resident visa in the country, or are Mexican citizens, then by Mexican law, you have the right to become a resident through family unity. It is necessary that you prove your relationship with the appropriate documents, which will be your birth certificate or marriage certificate, and you can do it directly at the consulate, or if your relative who is already a resident or a Mexican citizen, you can do it directly in the country without going through the consulate. So, and the third option is probably also if you own a property in Mexico and the value of the property, it's for this year, it's around 12 million pesos, the value of your property in Mexico, then you can obtain directly a temporary residency visa without financial information, but you will have to provide your title deed of your property to prove the value of it. Also, you can apply as an investor. If you are investing money in Mexican companies, you have purchased stock from Mexican companies, or you have already business in Mexico which reach certain amount of investment, then you are also eligible to become a resident in the country. So how for either temporary or permanent residency, the process for with solvency, which is the most common process that people follow to become residents in the country, it starts locating which is the consulate closest to you, or if you want to attend a consulate that takes application from non-residents from that state of or that area, you can the first step will be locate which consulate you want to attend, so you can check what are the requirements, the solvency requirements that particular consulate will require, and how the consulate is asking that you submit your financial information. Even it as it's the same law, and it should be the same at each consulate. In reality, each consulate will establish between their own solvency requirements and how they want you to present your financial information. Some consulates will ask you that you submit a stamp and sign bank statements or letters from your bank or your investment company, where they tell your average income, or others with just your plain statements printed from the internet are okay. But it's important that once you locate the consulate where you want to attend, that you check what is the solvency requirements for this particular consulate and how they ask you to submit your information. So once you have the visa appointment at the consulate, you will have to attend to the consulate. They will review all your information, and in 90% of the consulates, they usually give you a response and your visa, if authorized, on the same date. Some of them, in some cases, they will make you wait for 3 days, 4 days. According to the law, they have 10 working days, but usually, and in most cases, the process is done on the same day. If you are approved your visa, then they will stamp it on your passport. And this visa you will receive on the consulate, it's good for 6 months, which means that you can use the visa you obtain at the consulate within the following 6 months to enter a single time in Mexico, to do the process at the immigration office on the location where you will be living in Mexico, so you can obtain your residency card, either if it's your permanent or temporary residency card. Once you are here in Mexico, according to the law, and you have entered with your visa, you will have a period of 30 days to complete the process at the immigration office. If usually Mexico, the immigration offices in Mexico have established an online appointment system, So currently, you are able to book your appointment before you, like around 3 weeks before you arrive to Mexico with your visa. So this means that you don't have to wait the 30 days, but you can set up your appointment for the following week after your arrival, or if you are short in time, for the following day, for the following working day when you arrive. The procedure at the immigration office for the first time when you receive your card, at least here in Cancun and in Playa del Carmen, it's completed on the same date. You don't have to provide, for when it's the first time, you don't have to provide any additional financial information. You just have to submit your passport, your visa that you obtain at the consulate, and also your proof of address, of your address here in Mexico. It doesn't have to be under your name, but you have to provide an proof of address, which in the case of Puerto Morelos, you can either choose to apply in Playa del Carmen or apply in the immigration office in Cancun. If you live in Cancun, then you have to go to the Cancun office. If you live in Playa del Carmen, you have to go directly to the Playa del Carmen office. So in Cancun and Playa del Carmen, the process normally it's completed on the same date. On the date of your appointment, you have to go in person. The procedure takes about four to from between 3 to 4 hours, depending on the number of people on the day of your appointment. And usually you have to pay the government fees for your card with a credit or debit card, and wait for your fingerprints and your photo be taken, and they give you your card. So roughly, this is the procedure to obtaining either temporary or permanent residency. And Also, on the day you complete your residency card procedure, you will also receive a CURP number, which is spelled as CURP, which is a population number that will be assigned to you by the Mexican government as a resident in the country. Every person, citizens and foreign residents, get this curve number, which also is very important because this number will be necessary to be provided to get your tax ID, to get Mexican driver's license, and another other legal procedures. So it's very important what you receive. So, and it's very rare that here in Cancun or Playa del Carmen, you don't receive your residency card on the same day. It can happen. Usually it's because their system fails, or they run out of printing card material, or their printing card machine is broken. Usually when this happens, it's fixed fairly fast, and usually you have to wait 5 working days. So I always suggest my clients that when you are about to do the process, even if it's completed on the same date, at least you should plan to be 5 working days here in Mexico after your residency card appointment, so you can prevent any complication. Other complication that could happen is that when you enter with your visa, they don't register you properly. We try to avoid all this, but it happens that they, instead of giving you a 30-day entry, they give you a visitor 180 days entry, and this delays the process because it has to be changed and you will have to wait. Other delays that I encounter is that the consulate doesn't upload the visa information. So this can also delay the process because it is necessary to that the Mexican immigration office contact the consulate so they fix the problem. So it's always good that you plan to have a buffer time in your schedule when doing this to avoid any complication because there's a travel permit in the law when you are doing immigration procedure and you need to leave the country before you finish. But it's very hard. They grant you this permit unless you prove them that you have an emergency, that they will qualify if it's or not an emergency. So that's why it's very important that you contemplate to have enough time to complete the process. So this is roughly the process to obtain the visa. I don't know if Laura wants to say something before I pass to the next part.
I guess, are there any questions up until now? We can answer some of those since it's kind of a natural pause.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Anybody have any questions out there? Can you explain a little bit, Mauricio, the difference between a temporary and a permanent residency?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's precisely the second part
Oh, that second
of
part.
the
Okay, don't worry
that,
about that. Yeah, we'll get
yeah.
to that.
Yeah, I what I did is describe the procedure to obtain your visa, which is
Sure.
one, contact the consulate, having your appointment at the consulate. Once you
Mhm.
have your visa, plan your trip to Mexico, come to Mexico, and obtain your card. So
Perfect.
basically, that's what it is. So now we will discuss between the difference between the temporary and the permanent residency and the solvency requirements between the both. I will start with the temporary residency. The temporary residency, it's a document that you obtain that it is for 4 years, but you have to renew it after 4 years of having your temporary residency, you earn the right to become a permanent resident. So the temporary residency is for people usually that one doesn't have the solvency amount to go directly to the permanent residency, or two, doesn't have the age that the Mexican consulates require to give you directly permanent residency. The permanent residency, as its name indicates, it's a document that you don't have to renew once you receive it. It's a document that it's for good for all the time you live in Mexico. You don't have to renew it. And you have a permission to work in Mexico if you want to. The difference with temporary residency is that with temporary residency, you have to renew the document. Usually, what it happens with temporary residency is that the first time you get the residency card here in Mexico, you receive a 1 year temporary residency card, and the following year, you can renew it for 3 years. The permanent residency card, well, as we already said, Once you receive it, you don't have to renew it whatsoever. As a permanent resident, your only obligation moving forward will be to notify the immigration authorities if you change your address, if you start working, if you change your nationality or marital status, or your name. And also, it's important to say that as a temporary resident and a permanent resident, you are not obligated to spend certain amount of time in Mexico. This means that you don't lose your residency if you basically obtain your card and leave the country for the next year, and as a temporary, you return just to renew it, or as a temporary resident, you return in 1 year. You don't have any problem of losing your status because you are a certain amount of time outside of the country. In temporary residency, you have to return to renew it. So that it's a very important thing. What are the requirements for temporary residency for solvency? An important change that happened last year is that after many years, the immigration authorities changed the what they take to calculate your solvency. Up to July last year, the consulates calculated your solvency based on minimum days, or on days of minimum wage in Mexico, which was a problem because in the past 7 years, the Mexican government has been increasing a lot the minimum wage in Mexico. They have We have seen increases of 20%. This year was 11%. So the minimum solvency requirements were up in the past years by a lot. Uh, this was not It was unconstitutional because in 2016 the law changed, and they introduced a new measurement unit called UMA that changes with annual inflation. So this is important for you because for this year, instead of increasing by 11% the solvency requirements, it only increases around 4%. And from now on, it will increase with the inflation. So currently, there are two ways to prove that you have the solvency for temporary residency. One, it's with 6 months of your salary. You have to prove that you have received 6 months of your salary or 6 months of your retirement pension, and you have to prove that in these past 6 months you have received. It's an average. Each consulate will change a little bit up or a little bit down, but what the law states is that in US dollars, the current amount of solvency that you have to prove to obtain a temporary residency visa with salary or pension, it's around 4,400 US dollars per month for the past 6 months, or which is in Canadian dollars, it's like 5,500 Canadian dollars per month. This is from your salary or your pension. If it's from salary, it's important to note that some consulate will ask you from letters from your employer or pay stubs, or additionally to bank statements. And from pension, probably they will ask you from your pension documents, but this is what the average amount that you have to prove to the consulate in order to obtain your visa. The other option for temporary residency is that if you have saving accounts or investment accounts that in the past year, in the past 12 months, have an average balance of 75,000 US dollars or 93,000 Canadian dollars. This is what you have to prove with your investments or uh, or um, or savings for the past 12 months for temporary residency. For temporary residency, there's also the option for if that we already mentioned that if your house or your property in Mexico its value in more than 12 million pesos, around that, you can become directly with the value of your property. You can become a temporary residency. Owning already property below this amount of the 12 million it doesn't count as part of your solvency information, but it does helps. But so if you have the solvency requirements and also have your title deed, it's important that you bring it to your appointment to the consulate. Also, it's important that if someone of your family is applying with you as your economic dependent for temporary visa or permanent visa, you have to prove an additional income whenever the option, if it's savings or salary or pension, you have to prove an additional 2,000 US dollars income per month for each family member who is applying with you. So that is what it's for temporary residency. For permanent, to apply directly for permanent residency, the you have also the both options, but here the difference is you cannot apply with a salary. You only can apply with pension, or you can apply with savings and with savings or investments. And it's important that I forgot to mention that you can either, if you choose to prove with pensions or salary or investments, you cannot combine, and you have both incomes. You cannot combine both. You only can prove your solvency with the one you choose. But for permanent residency, most consulates even if you have the solvency requirement, you additionally, in most cases, in most consulates, will require that you are already retired on or in retirement age. This is that you are 60 years old or older to qualify directly for permanent residency. Even so, if you are under 60 years old, it is very unlikely that they will authorize the permanent residency directly. So, what is the solvency requirements for this year for permanent residency? For permanent residency based on income on your pension, on your retirement pension, you have to prove a pension of 7,400 US dollars per month on the past 6 months, or around 9,300 Canadian dollars also in the past 6 months. and if you are applying with your savings or investments, the amount that you have to prove on your average balance on the previous year, it's around 300,000 US dollars per balance, monthly balance in the past year, which is like 375,000 Canadian dollars. So that's what you need to prove them that you have on your income to be able to be approved permanent residency visa. So also, it's important that in the process of residency, if you are moving to Mexico with your household items, it's important that you know that once you receive your visa or your residency card, you have a window of 6 months to apply for a permit at the consulate to import all your household items duty free. So it's important. Many times, at many occasions, they don't tell you this at the consulate or other. So it's important that you consider that if you are moving with your stuff to the country, you will require to obtain that permit within the 6 months after you receive your visa. So basically, it is something like that. The third part I want to address. It's about the costs of the residency process because it has changed a lot for this year. For this year, the Mexican Congress approved in November a 100% increase in immigration fees for this year for your residency card. Currently, you have to pay at the consulate 58 US dollars or the equivalent of 58 US dollars per person for the visa at the consulate. This amount hasn't changed a lot from last year. Last year it was 54 US dollars, so it was just a $4 increase. But for the residency card here in Mexico, for the part in Mexico, it's where it increased, it doubled. Last year, for a 1 year temporary residency card, the government fee was 5,700 pesos. This year, the amount for 1 year residency card is 11,141 pesos, which it increased by double. And for the 3 years, the current price of the renewal is 21,143 pesos per person. So that's what you will have to pay to the government to obtain your visa and your residency card. For the permanent residency card, it increased from 6,700 pesos to 13,500 pesos. So the increase was double, and this is the current fare. The justification they gave is that the past prices were not up to the cost for the Mexican government for the immigration services they provide. That's what they say justified this increase. It's important also to say, so you can consider it, is that if any of your family group is applying with you through as your economic dependent through the family unity rules, then their government fees will be half. So if you have family members applying with you, they won't pay the full government fees price, which I recently mentioned. They will pay half of these fees, which it's um, an option for you to save money on government fees. But also it's important that I mentioned that at least here in Cancun and Playa del Carmen, when it's for temporary residents, when it's the time for family members to renew their cards, sometimes the authority doesn't authorize multiple years of renewal. So that uh, could be worse because that means your family will have to be renewing each year. But as with the consulate at the immigration office, these things change every year and things change. So it's important to check with a facilitator or an immigration lawyer what are the requirements at any given time. Because, for example, for renewing for multiple years here in Cancun and Playa del Carmen, last year they began to ask you that you submit with your renewal application, that you submit bank statements in order to obtain a multiple year renewal. They don't ask that you show a minimum amount. They just want to see that you keep having the same or having income to pay your expenses here in the country. So basically, that's a very important also information. So basically, in very general terms, these are this is the Mexican visa and residency process. Obviously, for individual cases, there could be different requirements or other documents that are suggested that you add to your application. But that is when I or any lawyer discusses with you, then they can explain or they can adapt the plan for your visa to your current necessities and your case. So I think that will resume everything. And if you want, we can go to the questions part of the chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Mauricio. Does anybody have questions for Mauricio?
I've got one, but it's kind of complicated and individual. So I think it's a one-on-one.
Perfect. Yeah, you can.
I do have one, Mauricio. How much do you charge for your services?
My charge for the service is 7,000 pesos per person. And these 7,000 pesos includes me assisting you with all the process from the moment you need to contact the consulate. The part of the consulate you have to contact them directly, but I assist you in providing all the information and preparing your application and reviewing all your information, and also obtaining the appointments here in Mexico, and helping you, assisting you in person with all the paperwork you will require on the date of your appointment until the moment you receive your card in your hand.
That's incredible. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
One other question that I have is, could you talk a little bit about timeline? Sorry if you already touched on this, but how long does it typically take from start to finish if everything goes perfectly. And I know it kind of depends on the consulate, but we have a lot of sellers who are rushing to get their residency, which you guys shouldn't do. But yeah, could you talk a little bit about timeline? Like
Of
best
course.
case scenario.
Well, it will depend on which consulate. There are some consulates that will reply very fast and they are very helpful and they will have appointments available for the following week or 2 weeks. Or there are other consulates that they won't reply to you or they have appointments for 1 to 2 months. So it will depend on which consulate you want to go or which one is closer to your home address. But yeah, the time for waiting for a consular appointment can go between 15 days to 2 months. And as I already mentioned, 90% of the consulates will give you your visa on the same date of your appointment. Once you receive your visa, you can plan your trip to Mexico to conclude the process. For this part, as I mentioned, usually the appointment system of the immigration offices opens. They open one day every day from the system, and usually it's 3 months, 3 weeks in advance. I'm sorry. Currently, you are able to book appointments here in Cancun or Playa del Carmen for mid-March. So this is how in advance we can. I mean, if usually when I have clients that plan their residency process for months in advance, I already know when they are coming. So I know that when the system opens that particular date, I will be able to get the appointment. I don't need that you have already your visa approved to get you an appointment here in Mexico. I can because it's not required that I provide your visa information to get the appointment here in Cancun. But it's important that you obtain your visa before your appointment. Once we obtain the visa here in Mexico, it cannot be changed until the date comes, and because it blocks you until the date of your appointment. So we will be only able to reschedule once the date of your appointment has passed. So it's very important that you know when you are coming to avoid that you are here or you are not able, because once the appointment is it's obtained, there's no way to change it. For consulates, you can cancel and change the date, but here in Mexico, it's not possible. But the timeline, as I mentioned, here in Cancun, it's also completed in the same day. And I don't know if I answered the question with
Yes,
that,
definitely.
but
We have one question here in the chat. For temporary residency, monthly salary, is that before or after taxes?
it's after taxes. It's net. It's your net income that they will take into consideration for your solvency.
Perfect. Anybody else?
I've got a point that I'd like to share because it involved me. Once you get your residency, in many cases, the resident will be using someone else's CFE bill for an address. And as I understand, within 30 days of a move, you're required to notify immigration of your new address, which is a process in itself.
The legal term for you to notify, it's 90 days. So you have 3 months to notify. And at the immigration office, they don't require that the proof of address it's under your name. They will accept it. No, it doesn't matter whose name it's on it. They will accept it. So there is no problem with that. It's just that it has to be either the electricity or water bill. That's the only one bills they are accepting currently.
Okay. Anybody else? I think I'll just speak for myself on this. You know, I did the immigration process, well, quite a while ago, like 12 years ago, so it looked completely different. But I will say I highly suggest working with Mauricio or a qualified immigration lawyer because it makes the process so much easier. And I don't know if you've ever had to deal with any government office here in Mexico, but it's a lot of back and forth if you don't really know how to navigate it, which can be very frustrating. And this, a lot of times, is kind of like the initiation into living in Mexico, right? So I do highly recommend his services. You know, the fee is actually quite minimal for all he's going to do for you. And it's going to be very, very helpful. And he's going to make the process extremely smooth and a lot easier if you were able to navigate it on your own. People always ask, well, can I do it on my own? I said, yes, you can, but I don't think you want to.
Thank you. Yeah, all my services, include all the consultation, all the tools you will require to prepare your appointments, or if you have any questions. I always it's all included in my services. The first time, if you want to schedule a first call with me, I give you a 1 hour consultation call free of charge for anyone who is interested in talking further or discussing your particular case. I offer a 60 minutes free consultation call with no obligation of hiring me afterwards. So.
Awesome. Mauricio, can we drop your email in the chat here? I don't know it off the top of my head.
I will give me.
Yeah, if you could drop your information there, and also your WhatsApp, or if you're comfortable with that, or if you prefer just email, that's fine as well.
Yes, of course.
And then guys, take note. He's going to drop his email in the chat, and you are more than, welcome to contact him on your own. Maybe Adam, you want to reach out about your personal situation. And Matt, I do see a hand up. Do you have a question?
Hi guys, sorry for tuning in late. I just got off work.
Thanks for joining us.
Hi Mauricio, mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto, Matt.
How much is your fee front to back? Let's just say I want to go forward. I want to do this whole process, et cetera, et cetera. I'm interested. I do this 60-minute consultation. It's great. I love you. I love the idea. And now I want to actually do it. How much is your fee per hour, and can I pay in pesos?
I charge a single fee, which is 7,000 pesos. Usually, I ask a retainer of 50%, and the other part when you have your card in your hand, and you don't have to pay any additional fee for me, just the government fees. For your visa, which is $58 US at the consulate, and the government fees here in Mexico, which will be depending on if you obtain temporary or permanent residency, and that's it. I mean, additional expenses that can arise, which is uncommon, but if you need to apostille any of your documents, if you are applying with any family members, that's not included. Neither if you need to translate with a Mexican official translator any document, that will be you will have to pay the fee for the translator. But my single fee for handling the process from to back, it's 7,000 pesos, and that's it.
Okay, okay, okay. Sounds good. So sounds good. So extra fees are possible, and then but otherwise your personal fee is about 350 US, 7,000 pesos, more or less. Okay, okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Mauricio.
Right. Thank you very much.
All right, anybody else? Going once, going twice?
I posted Mauricio's email. Well, I put the info at conmenolegal.com. I don't know if that's okay, Mauricio, and your cell phone
Yeah,
number.
thank you very much. Yeah,
Perfect.
Already in the chat. If anyone wants his contact, there it is.
In the chat. Yeah,
thank you very
perfect.
much.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's all. If there aren't any other questions, but if anything comes up in the next, day or two, feel free to reach out to Mauricio, any of us, and we'll put you in touch with him if you can't find his contact. And again, thank you so much, Mauricio, for taking the time and explaining this to all of us. We greatly appreciate it.
No, a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for all for listening to me.
And we'll share the link to the YouTube when it's ready.
Yes, definitely. All right, everyone. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you here in Puerto Morelos soon, hopefully. And again, thank you so much to Mauricio.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good
All right.
evening.
Bye.
Thank you
Thanks.
all.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.